Hello, and welcome back to the Cocoa Puff Cap'n Crunch podcast. Unfortunately, today it's really only the Cap'n Crunch podcast because Christina cannot join us, but that's all right. We're going to venture on without her. So today we're going to talk about the concept of ownership, impulse marketing, procrastination, and things along like that, and how that can influence our lives. So the ownership concept, I feel like a lot of us have thought about that in some way. Ariely states that the more work you put into something, the more you feel ownership of it. And I think I can relate to that because if I make like a really good cake, a really good vanilla cake with some chocolate frosting, which I actually made the other day, I took so much ownership and pride in that. And I was so proud because it was a homemade cake. It tasted really good, and I really wanted to share it with other people so that they could so I could share in that experience with them. So I definitely feel like the ownership concept definitely plays a role in my life in terms of that. And he also talks about the fact that as humans, we have this condition really to keep all of our options open. And we really want to keep all of our options open because we're afraid to lose something, which ties back into the whole loss aversion concept. He states that we have an irrational compulsion to keep our doors open, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to close them. Because we want to keep all of these doors open, we really are spreading ourselves so thin, and we tend to compare ourselves to others, and we set expectations for ourselves that can be really hard to achieve. And I feel like a lot of us know that we set our standards so high for ourselves that sometimes it seems impossible for us to achieve. And this ties back into the loss aversion concept by Kahneman that states the aversion to the failure of not reaching the goal is much stronger than the desire to exceed it. So we're so afraid of not reaching our goals that sometimes we don't even try to set them in the first place, or we'll put them off in the future. Such as for example, dieting. It's so much easier to say, we'll go on a diet next week, we'll go on that run tomorrow, we'll do this later, and we really want that, we really want to satisfy our needs now. We're very much like a species that wants to satisfy our needs now. Into the hot and cold concept, where if I'm really hungry right now, I'm going to satisfy that hunger and eat as much as I want right now, and I will face the consequences later. I'm not thinking about the consequences now, I'll deal with them later. So if I said, for example, I'm going to go on a run tomorrow, I could instead say, I'm going to go on a run now. I have a time for that, but it's easier to put it off in the future because we don't have to deal with that problem now. So it's really better if we start small, set some small goals for ourselves, some achievable goals for ourselves, and then we can look ahead into the future. And sometimes that can mean changing the environment around us. For example, the nudging concept. If we change the environment around ourselves, for example, if I am not getting any homework done in my apartment, and I know I'm not going to get any homework done in my apartment, I can go to the library and get that peer pressure to study. Because if I look around me and I see that no one else is procrastinating, they're all doing their work, I'm going to feel the pressure to do that work on my own, and that's some positive reinforcement. And that's why he states that peer pressure helps explain why people in Europe weigh less than Americans. They follow different social norms, like eating only at meal times instead of snacking throughout the day. Though there's different concepts on snacking, in terms of just how people feel about it, especially across the nations. Taking the time to fully involve yourself in the process of eating and taking pleasure in it and sharing it with others, that's really different between Europe and America. Whereas Europe, they take the time to appreciate each other, to appreciate their meals. In America, it's a very high-paced, fast kind of thing. And we also tend to make a lot of impulsive decisions, especially when we're in hot and cold states, such as, for example, the candy at the cash register theory. If we're really hungry and we just need a pick-me-up, we're going to get that candy at the cash register, no matter, some of us can avoid it, but some of us honestly can't. And so if we change that environment, slowly nudging ourselves, we can really make a difference in just our lives and in avoiding those temptations and avoiding the immediate satisfaction that we get, and can look ahead into the future. And that's really all we have time for today, but I'd like to thank you very much for listening to this, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you. Bye.